Hi everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
And today we'll be talking about Cloud City, and this is published by Blue Orange Games. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can see our videos as they come out.
In Cloud City, you get to build your own city in the clouds. There's literal buildings out there, 3D buildings that you're stacking these walkways across. You're trying to get the most and longest walkways built in your little city. Let me show you what it looks like on the table. All right, here's our setup for Cloud City. We have a starting tile here. Every tile has 2 building spots on it, so you put the buildings to match that color. We've got all 3 colors over here, and then we have the matching colored walkways over here. Each one of the colors represents a different height of building, and we're basically trying to build as many walkways as possible. And the longer the walkway, the more points it's worth. At the beginning of the game, you're going to start with a hand of 3 tiles, and on every turn, you're going to place one of them, and then draw a new one to refresh your hand, so you always have 3 tiles. You can place it however you want. It has to be side to side though, and basically you have to end up the game with a 3x3 grid. So if we were to place this something like that, for instance, we would put the buildings wherever they go. Now, if there was a place where we could place a crosswalk, we would place that now. But as you can see, we kind of have a building in our way, so that's not really good placement. Maybe if we rotate it like this, now we've got a spot where we can place a blue right here. On a different turn, we might do something like this, which would then allow us to place one of these green buildings, and therefore a green walkway over top of that existing blue walkway. As you can see, the cities are going to grow and grow. The more tiles you have out there, the more buildings you have, and the more buildings you have, the more chances you have to build walkways. You're really trying to get as much intersection crossing over and top of each other as possible, so that way you can maximize how many different walkways you can fit in your city. Basically, at the end of the round, when all 9 tiles have been placed, you count up, and whoever has the most amount of victory points on the tiles is going to win the game. The short ones like this are only worth 1 point apiece. The longer ones are up to worth 8 points apiece. So, again, you're trying to shoot for those longer ones to really maximize your potential. Each building can only have 2 things going to it. So even, let's say, this blue one here, even if we surround it with blue tiles and chances for it to go to, only 2 of them could actually be connections. In a 2-player game, you actually make your grid a 3x4 grid. So there's a little more action going on there in a 2-player game. I like that quite a bit, actually. There are also some cards called the Special Request cards. There's 10 of them in the game, and if you want, you can, at the beginning of the game, shuffle them up and deal out 1. It's going to apply to the whole table. So if we had something like that, it says basically, for every building that only has 1 crosswalk going to it, it's going to be worth 2 victory points at the end of the game. 7 of the cards award points like the way that one did, but there are 3 of them that actually give out negative points. So for instance, this one says, -2 points for each building that has no crosswalks going to it. So you really want to plan around that. Those can be a lot of fun and really mess up the scores. Whether or not you decide to use that variant with those special request cards, whoever has the most points at the end of the game is going to win. If there's a tie, basically it goes to the lowest level, the blue ones. Whoever has the most victory points off of the blue ones wins the tie. If there's still a tie, it goes up to the green ones, which is the forest. If there's still a tie, it goes all the way up to the tan ones, which is the sand walkways. If there's still a tie, players rejoice in their shared victory.
Guys, this game was super straightforward. There wasn't like, I don't know, there's no learning curve, but you just played as it was. It made sense of where you could put those tiles. Like, obviously, you can't build where something hasn't been built yet, and that just, like, made sense. And obviously, you can't do, like, a shorter one through a tall building because it wouldn't sit anywhere. So it was just really straightforward when it came to the gameplay.
I really like this. Has like a really high toy factor, right? I mean, it had those 3D buildings. You're just kind of building like Legos or Lincoln Logs or whatever. It just was what it felt like to me, but with kind of a purpose in mind, a design goal in mind of getting the most and the longest of these walkways. And I just, I think, our daughter saw this and was like, oh, I want to play that one too. So,
she did, yeah. We were playing it by ourselves, and she saw us and was like, I want to play. Can I play? Can I play next?
Because it just looks so great on the table. It's a big 3D structure that you're building. Yeah, a very high toy factor. So
speaking of our daughter, there's cards that are face up that you can draw from as you're trying to like figure out where you want to put things. And then there's another stack that's face down. And she was like risking it. She didn't even look at the face up cards. Whenever she played a card, she was like, give me one from the top. Give me one for the top.
I like mystery.
I like mystery. So if you like mystery, I mean, it was really fun because you could try to plan things out that way, but sometimes what you wanted just wasn't out there, so you always had that option to get just a random card.
And it's also had like a, it's a very solo experience, right? There was very little interaction between one another, except for those face-up cards. So what she was doing wasn't really messing with anything. It was kind of fun. No one can really mess with your building other than potentially draft the card that or the tile that you were working on. I also liked the special order cards. They had this really nice scoring twist added to it, so something to go for. So once you play the game a few times and you're familiar with it, then it's like, oh, let's spice it up a little bit. Add in the special order cards. They can either reward you or punish you for doing certain things that, again, gave you kind of a goal in mind, something to aim for.
Yeah, I really liked the finished product of when everybody's, Cloud City was set up. And like Ryan said, you have this really nice 3D setup. And so when you play with multiple people and you just see all these different towers and walkways, and it just looks really neat when it's all said and done.
So we mentioned teaching this to our daughter. It was just incredibly easy to teach. The rules were just so incredibly simple. We learned it within a matter of seconds, and teaching her was the same thing. The only thing I would say about this game is it's a little bit finicky trying to make sure that the buildings are in the exact center of the little squares on the tiles, and then having to put the walkways right in the middle there, and then I know my big fat fingers are like bumping into stuff and moving, jostling the buildings around just a little bit, so you have to kind of rearrange it slightly just to make sure everything's still there, but that's just more of a me thing than a regular thing. Well,
the nice thing about that too, even if you do bump it for whatever reason, it's not like the tile moved, so you can still know exactly where those towers go, so it's not like, it's not like you're keeping track of something like that, it's all going to be there. I feel like this game would be great for families who maybe have kids that don't like to play games. Like, I just feel like the toy factor of this game would be really inviting to those school-age kids who maybe aren't really about getting around the table to play games. I would definitely try this. If you're a game and you're like, why don't my kids play games with me? I would try this because I just feel like it's because of the toy factor of it that it kind of encompasses a different feel than most of the games that we play.
But, I mean, we've been talking about kids a lot just because that's kind of our world. Don't kid yourself. This is not a game designed for kids. This is one that works well with kids. Me as a seasoned gamer or whatever, I love this game. This one was super fun. I really enjoyed it. And in fact, so much so that when you're playing multiple players, you only get to make a 3x3 grid. I prefer the 2x2 player game because you have to make a 3x4 grid, and therefore there's more connections and more things. I want to try making a 5x5 grid. I don't know, what is something wild. I just want more buildings, more Cloud City. I really enjoy this game. It was a lot of fun.
More Cloud City! Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. You can find us in all the places. On Facebook, we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews. On Twitter, we are Ryan and Bethany 1. And on Instagram, we are Ryan and Bethany.
Everybody, thanks for watching. We will see you next time.
Bye.